Alright, so now we have our mask extracted. You can see that it has, you know, some imperfections and stuff, but we're going to be able to fix that later. So now I'm going to duplicate my base mesh, and I'm going to remove the mask from one of them. And so this way I can see what's underneath the mask. So what I'm gonna do is change to matte cap gray, which is something I always like to do, as you guys know. And I'm gonna turn this off, and I'm gonna try to, you know, get my mask base in. So I'm gonna look at my reference again. So now I know that, you know, it's gonna come out a little bit, and then there's gonna be this big beak, right? So we'll get to the beak later, but now I just want to, you know, get rid of the nose first of all, right? So because we have quite a lot of geometry here, I just say smooth, right? The nose doesn't really go away that easy, right? So there's a couple brushes that we can use to help us with this. First of all, I wanted to kind of introduce something new about brushes as well. So if you want to faster get to a brush, right, instead of going here up here to brush and then selecting the brush, right, you can use shortcuts, and all the brushes are alphabetical, right? And so let me show you what I mean. So if I want to go to a brush with a shortcut, I press B for brush, and then let's say I want clay buildup brush, so C for clay, C for all of the C brushes, and then when I find the clay buildup, which is right here, I see that that's another letter B associated with it. So if I press it, that's gonna equip my brush. So B, C, B equips my brush, and I can use clay buildup now, right? So I can build it up and kind of effectively get rid of the nose a little from here, right? Another cool brush that I like is BH, BHP. So this H polish brush, that is very neat. It kind of, you know, does what it says, polishes the surface. See, I really like it. So BCB again for clay buildup, and I'm kind of, you know, trying to get rid of the nose a little bit, filling out some kind of holes. I'm seeing right here how this all looks. I'm liking this pretty much okay right now. Alright, so I'm just sculpting this. Then going back in with the H polish brush and, you know, polishing it all out. So instead of using a smooth brush to smooth this, I'm using the H polish brush to just polish it, right? Which kind of gives us a nice smooth edge for everything, right? When I'm polishing right here. I'm gonna smooth out right there. So smooth still obviously works, just not as great maybe. Right, so this brush is nice for, you know, some like very straight, nice straight edges and stuff like that too. So keep that in mind. So then I'm gonna go and open my base mesh again, and I can see that obviously this mask is now getting a little bit squished, but that's okay because we can use a BMT, move topology brush, and just move it, right? So now we can move this anywhere we want to relative to the face. So you can see how that's gonna potentially give us a lot of freedom later on, especially. So I'm gonna, yeah, kind of relieve the face a little bit, lift the mask off the face just a touch. like so. See how the nose kind of disappears. So I'm going to look at my reference again. So I'm seeing, yeah, this kind of pretty sharp drop and then a beak. If I look at my reference photos of the beak as well, you can see I really like this sharp angle right here of the bird. So I'm going to try to recreate that in the mask as well. So not so much right now with this specific step, but just kind of keeping it in mind as I go. So I'm also gonna relieve the eyes from here a little bit. Again, these are not perfect circle right now, but you know, we'll be able to change that later as well. So yeah, all right, looks pretty good for now. Pretty clean. Maybe I'll go down here and also lift this off the face a little bit, touch more as well. Right, like this. Cool. So next, I'm going to show you a new thing that we haven't really talked about earlier, and it is called Sculptis Pro. Sculptis Pro is a setting in ZBrush that allows you to add on new geometry to your geometry. So for example, if I were to start pulling out this geometry to start making a beak, right? Very quickly, I will start seeing that it is extremely stretched, right? So if I go to my poly frame, you can see all of these polygons are extremely stretched, and it's not good topology, right? If you know anything about topology. So instead of stretching these out, we're going to make new topology. And this is important that we're doing this before we do any kinds of UVs or anything like that, because obviously if you add new topology, your UVs are going to change completely. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this brush called the snake hook brush, right? And I'm gonna activate now Sculptis Pro mode. It's activated, right? So now, if we look at our geometry, right? And I'm just gonna take a big chunk from right here, smaller than that, and I'm going to pull. Look at that, right? Now it looks like Pinocchio. But notice what happens here. If you go to polyframe, what happens is we have created new topology, right? So if I pull this, you can see the more I pull, there's new topology created. So I could continue pulling everywhere I want to, right? To create these crazy shapes if I wanted to, right? And it just, all it does, it creates new topology, right? So this is a Sculptis Pro snake hook brush. There's a couple more, you can definitely play around with them and stuff. So, wow, yeah. So this is really, really powerful stuff. But, you know, you always need to keep in mind that you will have to remesh this and assign it UVs and all that stuff. So don't go too crazy with it. But definitely test your limits, right? So, all right, so now I know, okay, I need to make a beak. So my beak's base is going to be a long snake hook. And before I kind of dive into this, I want to talk about Sculptis Pro a little bit more. So not only it works on creating new geometry, kind of pulling from with like a snake hook brush or something like that, it also creates new geometry using all the regular brushes that we use, right? So if I'm gonna do clay buildup, it's gonna add new geometry with clay buildup as well. You can see there's new geometry added, and same with all the other brushes. And another thing is that you can control how much is added. So if you go to, let me just if you go to stroke up here and then you go to Sculptis Pro, you can mess with the settings. So if I pull this up, you can see now this is gonna change the amount of new topology that is made. So here now it's less dense. If I put this all the way down at 0.7, for example, look how dense that is. That is just, I mean, pretty insane. You'll never use this, but this is like insanely dense geometry that you can kind of put on your model. I'm gonna do something like 0.8, same, 0.4, you know, you get the gist. So it really, you could really start kind of sculpting in things, but this is only useful in kind of the beginning stages of your modeling, because again, every time you add more geometry, it messes up with your normal maps. So that's why in the beginning you're allowed to do this, but then not after that. So yeah, all right. I'll end this video here. We'll start a new one with actually modifying the mask.